Hi, everybody. This is God SAAD. Apologies in advance for the very heavy topic that I'll be addressing today, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed in the open. Yesterday, I stayed up late watching the very disturbing part one of, I believe, a two-part series regarding Michael Jackson's alleged sexual abuse of several young boys throughout his career. The title of the documentary is Leaving Neverland. I think part two will air later today. It's very, very disturbing and quite graphic. The two men who served as the key witnesses in this documentary, let me just get their names, are Wade Robson and Jimmy Safechuck. I guess what I wanted to talk about is how so often it is parents who ultimately are to blame. I mean, beyond, of course, the pedophilic predators, it is the parents who are to blame for placing their children in positions where they can be preyed on. And I say this, not to be frivolously accusatory, but ultimately, if more parents were truly assiduous in doing all that they can to protect their children from child predators, then fewer children would have to spend their lives trying to overcome abuse that they suffered when they were kids. I'll begin maybe with a personal story, nothing that happened to me, luckily, but I had a girlfriend many years ago who, after we'd been together for several years, came to me very distraught because she wanted to share with me a very dark secret, and she felt that somehow I wouldn't think of her as highly because she would share this with me. And look how people engage in self-accusations for something that they never should, be accusing themselves of doing. Their children. She was abused, I think, if I remember correctly, for 7 years, starting at the age of 5, by her maternal grandfather, if I remember the story well. And at one point, she had gone to her mother to share with her what was happening to her, at which point the mother slapped her and was incredulous and told her to never say things like that. So at that point, I'm just giving you here one example of an enabling parent. Let us assume for a moment that the mother did not know that such abuse was taking place, which you'd like to be charitable and assume that that's the case. The fact that her first response is to punish her daughter for coming to her rather than saying, wait a second, most young children don't make these stories up. That simple mechanism, that defensive mechanism that the mother exhibited, undoubtedly led to many, many more incidents of abuse. So that's one example where the parent is either aware of it but turns a blind eye, or decides to it's impossible to accept that one's father or uncle or brother could be doing this, and therefore they engage in an ego defensive strategy where protecting the image of the supposed abuser is more important than protecting your own child. That's a problem. Now, in other cases, parents place their children in situations of danger because they don't know any better, or because they can't imagine that it could happen. So this is why you've got the altar boy phenomenon, where generations of parents believe that priests are holy, they're men of God, and therefore, if you put your children in the good care of these priests, well, surely nothing could happen. In other cases, people put their children in harm's way because they can't simply believe that the sweet neighbor, the young, cool teenager next door, the somewhat touchy uncle could be the one who's doing this. Child abuse doesn't happen because a serial, pedophilic rapist is hanging around in your tree about to pounce on your child. It most often happens because of someone, via someone that someone that you trust. So your number one job as a parent is to do whatever you can to protect your child, even if it is that you have to mistrust every single person in your extended family, beyond your nuclear family. That's just the price that you pay to ensure the integrity of your child's body. Now, regarding the two cases that were mentioned in yesterday's documentary, what I was struck by was the parents of these two children. Again, my point is not to, beat them up frivolously, but think about it for a second. Which sane person would allow their children to sleep in the same bed for days on end with a grown man, right? No sane person could do that. Oh, but he was sweet, he was inoffensive, Michael Jackson. He was childlike. No, they actually admitted themselves that they were so taken by his stardom, by the gifts, by the fact that Michael Jackson, this global superstar, would be interested in hanging around with them and their child, that every conceivable instinct that should be as clear as the existence of gravity was suppressed because of their egos, because of their narcissism, because of their inability to extricate themselves from the whirlwind of, being courted, being groomed by Michael Jackson. I mean, of course, alleged. We have to say alleged. So the child doesn't know any better, right? He sees his hero, the guy that he's seeing moonwalking, and he thinks, hey, it's all good. It's for the parent to say, no, you will never mind, you won't stay in the same room as him at night. You won't spend 15 minutes with him alone anywhere. And that's certainly the way that I handle my own family. Everyone is a suspect. No one is beyond reproach, because the integrity of my children, and yours if you're watching, is more important than anything else. So the bottom line is, most of these cases where a child is abused, it happens either directly or indirectly through the enabling of the parents. There you have it, folks. I wish you all a good day. Again, I'm sorry to deal with such a dark topic, but as I've always said, the two greatest forms of evil is animal cruelty and child abuse. Take care, everybody.